4090 releases today, and it's a big boy. A very, very big, naughty boy. This is it compared to the Geforce 3080, which isn't exactly a small component. You can see the 4090 is slightly longer, substantially wider, and much, much thicker. You'll find this hard to believe, but it's actually a bit shorter than the 3090 was. But it is still a bit thicker. I like this extra vent to the right of the case fitting. It's like they designed the card, realised there was a bit of space here, and were like, why not add ventilation here as well? And here's another comparison with a load of everyday household items and other pieces of cutting edge equipment, like a hard drive and VHS tape. I imagine such a massive graphics card would need an equally comically oversized PC to cater for it, but I was pleasantly surprised to find that most of this extra bulk just takes up space where air normally goes. Sure, it gets in the way of the PCI release button, it makes plugging SATA cables into the motherboard a pain, and it practically buries NVMe drives alive. But I don't object to this object size as much as I thought I would. Length is probably the most concerning thing about the card, and being roughly the same length as the Red Devil Radeon 480, it does make it poke over the edge of the motherboard, which may make it too long to fit into many older cases. So be warned. The 3090 was a similar size, but having not experienced that card, this is the moment for me that graphics cards stopped being cards and started becoming bricks. Graphics bricks. And obviously, power is also another thing worth pointing out. This ludicrous bundle of cables can provide up to 600 watts of power to the card, though only 3 of these are really needed unless you're going to overclock this thing to warm your house up this winter. But while it may be massive, it isn't particularly loud or hot. The Geforce 30 FE would get to about 80 degrees and the fans would spin up to quite distracting levels during particularly intensive benchmarks. Meanwhile, the 4090 hasn't gone beyond 70 degrees, and when the fans do spin up, they sound like a low whir rather than a high-pitched whine. Put it this way, if given the choice between the 3080 as is and the 3080 with the 4090's casing, I would absolutely go with the 4090's larger, quieter design. One slightly concerning thing I noticed when switching between these cards for testing was the top PCI slot where I was plugging them into was not clicking until I forced the cards in quite hard. The others on the board clicked much more easily, and it makes me worry that I'm physically deforming that slot by having the 4090's monstrous shell hanging from it. Because I'm sure it wasn't such a challenge for me the first time I slotted this thing in, but who knows, it's just something to look out for. Maybe it would be worth getting something to prop this card up with, just to take some of the strain off the motherboard. And do know that this card's bulk makes it a bit of a hazard to handle. It's quite a lot of heft for one hand at an awkward angle to hold, so just take extra care when fitting and especially when removing it from your PC. And definitely remember to do the screws up to help your motherboard contend with its sheer load. All in all, in terms of how ridiculous it looks, I would give the 4090 an 8 out of 10. The most ridiculous looking component I've ever seen is still the Noctua D15. Pictures online do not do justice to how big this thing is. The cooling performance looks like magic until you see it and then you're like, oh, well obviously it's going to run cool because it's got like half a mile of metal strapped to it. The very reason I didn't choose this cooler in my new build was because it would have resulted in a stunning 0.0mm of clearance between it and my case's side panel. Whereas with the Darkrock Pro 4, I have a spacious 2mm of clearance. So compared with CPU coolers, there's still plenty of space around even the Geforce 4090 in my case. But don't get any ideas, 5090.